Welcome to Modern Builds, everybody. Today we are tackling a big project, my kitchen renovation on the Joshua Tree house. As you can see, it is outdated and closed in by this dividing wall between the kitchen and the living dining room area. And my first step in this project is taking this wall out. After getting rid of the paneling and drywall to expose the 2x4 studs behind it, I used my reciprocating saw to cut the wall where I wanted it to terminate, and it was ready to drop. And FYI, this was a load-bearing wall, so before all this, I made sure to put a header in the attic so that this was structurally sound. At this point in my renovation journey, I'm becoming a little bit of a drywall pro, or at least a DIY drywall fix-it pro. I just patched up the holes in the wall and smoothed it out for the eventual skim coat that's going on. And opening everything up makes things feel so much better already. The next project to tackle in this kitchen renovation is painting the kitchen cabinets and doors. I started by filling all of the routed grooves on the face with wood filler, then I sanded everything flat in preparation for paint. First, I applied a coat of primer. This is cheap and does a good job of covering up the wood grain, that way it doesn't bleed through the expensive paint that we'll be using next. For the primer, you could use a foam or a 1/4-inch nap roller. Throughout my house, I've been using this color called Breezeway, and I like it a lot. It's a soft pastel baby blue with a little bit of mint seafoam green in it. But basically, it's really nice next to white, which is what I'm going to be painting my walls eventually. After I let the paint dry overnight, I then installed the new hinge pockets for these hidden soft close hinges that are going to look nice and be quiet. And as you can see, the kitchen is really coming together quick. Some people say you should skim coat your walls before you paint your kitchen cabinets, and to those people I say, you are correct. It does make a little bit of a mess, but it is a really great way of making smooth walls over existing texture on your current walls. Basically what you do is you mix drywall mud with a little bit of water, and then you spread it over the walls with a drywall knife. Then you can come back and sand it once it's dry, and after 2 or 3 coats, you're left with a really smooth wall that you can then paint, and it looks just like a museum or art gallery. And we're done, just before it got dark. I'm a mess. If you're working in a small room or space, sanding by hand is totally feasible because Joint Compound sands like butter. But I was skim coating my entire house, so I bought a drywall sander off of Amazon. And before I put on a coat of paint, I'm gonna apply primer because this skim coat is gonna soak all of this up. And primer is way cheaper than paint. And I'll really tell you what, getting rid of the old texture and especially the old popcorn ceilings in the rest of the house made a huge difference. And after I got a couple of coats of white paint on the walls, I let all of that dry overnight. One of the reasons that I didn't demo all of this kitchen at once is because I was using the kitchen because I'm living in the house that I'm renovating, which is pretty challenging. I do stay quite a bit in the school bus tiny house that is the guest house in my backyard, but I was renovating this kitchen in the middle of summer when it was 110 degrees out here in Joshua Tree, California. So I did spend a lot of time using this kitchen instead of cooking out there. And so that is why this is all a little scrambled and out of order feeling. Probably should have taken this out before I skim coated and painted the cabinets and painted the wall, but better late than never. Whew, this thing is greasy. Oh, nice. It got a little wet. Instead of replacing these countertops, I'm gonna be doing skim coat overlay concrete counters. And the concrete that we're using is this right here. It's called Henry Feather Finish. This product is really unique and I've used it before. It basically sticks to anything. It's technically made for flooring underlayment to level anything out before you put on wood or tile floors. And it's really unique in that it dries super fast, you can sand it smooth, and you can build up layers to create a countertop over wood, stone, or laminate like what I'm doing. After 3 coats, I came back and patched any visible signs of that old wood laminate and applied a few coats of a water-based concrete sealer. Now I did get some brush marks, unfortunately, but I am very happy with how the countertops ended up looking. I gave that sealer a little bit of time to cure, and then I applied some silicone around the edges of the countertop where I'll be installing my new sink. This is a really cool sink that's actually made of HDPE plastic and has this white stone pebbled look. I've wanted to have a single basin sink for a long time, that way I can put big pots and pans in there and not have handles hit the middle divider. I also got pretty much the only white matching faucet I could find online, and then I worked on my drain by putting on plumber's putty and then tightening everything down. And this is where I should mention, I am not a plumber, I am not an electrician, I am a DIYer just like you all. I'm not here to give expert advice, I'm here to inspire you to tackle the projects that you want to get done. I am a little bit nervous about having this white sink and faucet. It might get stained or dirty easily. I do have a black faucet and sink in my bathroom, and that is a little bit tough to keep clean, so we'll see if it's easier or harder to maintain. And pro tip, spray caulk or silicone with Windex before you smooth it so it doesn't stick to your finger. Next, you're going to see me altering the cabinet for the new vent hood that's actually concealed. So the jigsaw is way faster and gives a really clean cut, but I can't get into these corners, so I'll use the oscillating multi-tool with this blade. The new hood is going to basically be flush mount on the bottom of this cabinet, and the motor and fan are concealed inside of the cabinet. So I need to remove this panel and then create a lip or a ledge that I'll be able to screw the new vent into. A little surprised that worked. Awesome. After the bottom of the cabinet was removed, I cut a couple of strips out of some scrap plywood and then screwed those into the 2x4 studs behind my drywall. And while I was in cabinet alteration mode, I removed the old oven because I'm replacing that too. Oh, it's plugged in? Okay. Of course, I made sure to turn the power off at the wall before I messed with any wiring, but installing this new oven was really easy and I had never installed one before. I just had to hook up a few lines to some screwed down connectors, and then it was ready to throw into the wall. Or, I thought it was. You'll see here. Oh man, that's gonna look awesome. And then right here, I'm gonna make a really shallow cabinet so that I can hold baking sheets and stuff like that. I put all of this together pretty quickly. I just measured, marked, and cut everything in place with my circular saw. And I really am excited for this small cabinet because I don't have a spot for cookie sheets or baking trays, whatever you call them, and I usually have them with my cutting boards, and so they're always in the way of each other. I glued and nailed all of my pieces in, that way I made sure it was sturdy, then painted the inside of my cabinet the same flat white as everything else. And this right here is all of the leftover paint that I've got from the cabinets. I'm gonna see if I can get it done. And spoiler alert, I did have to open up another gallon of Breezeway. Of course I had more touch-ups to do. This is suboptimal. I'm learning here, but I made another mistake. Come check it out. So I've got the conduit and the electrical installed up here, but unfortunately the face frame piece won't allow this to slide in. So I'm gonna have to take this out, put the oven back, and then put that trim back in. It's like the old Rockler Instagram post. Half the building is figuring out creative ways of fixing your last mistake. I bought this induction electric cooktop for a crazy good deal, and I'll leave a link down in the description. After I wired it up and put it behind a plate in a box, I also pretty much did the same for my vent hood. And in this shot, you can see how much more headroom this whole kitchen has now that that old vent hood isn't extending out in front of the cabinets. Plus, this one is modern and has built-in LEDs. So by now, these steps are pretty rinse and repeat. I applied some drywall joint compound, then sanded it down. After that, I painted the new smooth wall, and then touched up my cabinet paint. And if you're not already, make sure and follow me at Modern Builds on Instagram. That way you can see projects like these happening in real time. Links in my description. Okay, let's keep moving. I needed to make a new cabinet door for that shallow cabinet above the oven, so this is me doing that. I also tried to match the routed groove on the inside corners, but totally failed and did not do that on the second one I made. For now, it's installed and looks good, but I'll come back and route it on a routing table sooner than later. And now let's give a big thanks to the sponsor of today's episode, Squarespace. If you need a website, an online store, or just a custom domain, Squarespace is your one-stop shop. And the best part is you need zero website building experience. I'm serious, if you can upload files and drag and drop text blocks, you are well on your way to a one-of-a-kind site. Squarespace's designer templates look great on desktop, tablet, and mobile no matter where customers find you, and they are packed with tons of great features like no limits to the number of products that you can sell using a Squarespace store. Plus, there's a Squarespace Video Studio mobile app that allows you to create high-level professional content for your website and social media. And don't forget member areas where you can package premium content behind a paywall, charging your members a monthly subscription fee. So to learn more, make sure and follow my link down in the description. That is squarespace.com/modernbuilds, where you can build out your entire Squarespace site before entering any of your credit card info. And then when it's time for you to make your website live, don't forget to use my code ModernBuilds for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. One more big thanks. Now let's get back to this renovation. I've got to say, I found an awesome internet find for the light fixture in the kitchen. It's a great deal, but it's also got a remote where you can adjust the color brightness, the color temperature, and set a favorite. That way it can go back to what you like. Okay, let's test it out. Basically, when you turn it on, it'll go to your favorite, like an incandescent warm light. Then if you turn it off and back on again, it'll go to a bright white light, and then you can set a favorite and a night light. I also installed a retrofit Philips Hue can light above the sink, which is nice because I can control it from my phone and also set favorites, but it does not have a remote.
And now it's time to get rid of these old laminate floors, finally. I've already taken out the carpet from the rest of the house, and this was a part of a How to Undo at Home Edition episode that I made with Home Depot. I'll leave a link down below. And the reason that I kept these floors for so long is because I've been using them pretty much as a drop cloth. As you can see, it's got concrete, joint compound paint, and a lot of other stuff on it. But now it's time to take these out and prep for concrete floors.
I started by gloving up, and then I got my big floor scraper that I was able to use and get the majority of this flooring out with. But I've got to say, whoever installed these used a lot of adhesive, and whatever adhesive that was, well, it was good because it stuck. I tried a couple of different scrapers and chisels to no avail until I went to the internet and it was recommended that I pour boiling hot water on the linoleum floors. Basically, it soaks into the paper backing and helps loosen the adhesive to where it comes off easier. And let me tell you, this did the trick. I let it soak for about 5 or 10 minutes before I did any scraping, but it removed and peeled away so nicely. Oddly satisfying. Boom. Next, I applied a coat of concrete leveling primer. Basically, I'm going to be pouring self-leveling concrete floors over my existing concrete floors for 2 reasons. 1, they're not flat, and 2, they're ugly. I really want my house to have this museum quality vibe, so pouring new concrete is going to get me there. If you're interested in learning more about this, I did a whole video on it, and link will be in my description.
And I'm starting to like this random kind of pour pattern. I've got relatively straight lines right down there. So I'm gonna just kind of break them up a little bit and let time do its thing.
I gave the concrete a few days to cure, then I applied a few coats of this low luster sealer. This stuff is really heavy duty. You can apply it on your driveway, so I think it's gonna work great for the house.
Whoa! That was close. The fridge is here. Let's open it up. Couldn't find a knife, but sharp chisel will work.
I love Smeg and retro style fridges, but any of them that Smeg offered were either too big or had the freezer on top, which is whack. So I bought this one from Home Depot.
I love it.
Before you judge me too hard for replacing the old cutting board with the new one that I made out of pine boards, let me just explain. This is more of a countertop extension than a cutting board. I really don't want to have to be pulling this out of the cabinets to wash all of the time. Instead, I'm just going to be putting a cutting board on this and then taking that to the sink to clean. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll see later. And my final step was to reinstall my cabinet trim, and with that, this kitchen is complete. So let's go way back to before we did anything on this kitchen renovation. Like I said, it was closed in and claustrophobic because of that wall dividing the spaces, but literally everything was trapped in the 70s. It was so out of date. And now, let's check out these afters. Can you believe it? The kitchen and the Joshua Tree cabin renovation is just about done. Every room has been renovated. I've just got a little bit more furniture to build.
And let me give you the quick walkthrough. So first off, the oven area is really nice. Typically, you don't consider white appliances as that contemporary, but I really like this one, and it lights up super cool. I absolutely love the new retro fridge. The color is great next to the stark white on the walls, and this is totally enough space for 1 or 2 people. If you have kids, I would get a bigger fridge, but this totally works for me. What might be my favorite new area is the whole cooktop station. No joke, I actually used to hit my head on the old vent hood every once in a while I was cooking. Having this out of the way is really nice. Plus, this is an induction cooktop. I don't really know what that means. I've heard it's supposed to be better for some reason. And last but not least, the new sink. The all-white setup is very cool, and it stayed clean for the past couple weeks I've been using it. The Joshua Tree cabin renovation series is quickly coming to a conclusion. Soon, I'll do one of those Architectural Digest house tours. Obviously here, not on Architectural Digest, but we will see you soon on Modern Builds. Bye, everybody.